Mexico's new police force, the National Guard. If it looks militarized, that's because it is, made up mainly of soldiers and Marines and commanded by a general. The government hopes it will tackle Mexico's record violence. Many are worried that in doing that, it could trample over civilians' rights.
Doctora Michelle Bachelet.
Those worries were at least calmed on April 9th, when the government made a deal with the United Nations that the UN would help give human rights training to the new force. It was seen as a big moment.
Este es un acto muy importante.
This is a really important act, I could say historical.
The
agreement shows our shared interest in a paradigm shift which puts human rights at the center of public security forces' actions.
But United Nations sources have told Al Jazeera that 3 months on from that deal, not one member of the National Guard has got that training, despite, they say, UN efforts to get the program kick-started. Meanwhile, the government's already sent thousands of new National Guardsmen to deal with a particularly vulnerable population, Central American migrants heading through Mexico. We talked to a dozen guards at checkpoints and patrolling the Suchiate River, which marks the border with Guatemala. All of them said they had been given some internal human rights training, but they know they'll need to learn more on the job.
They told us how to treat the civil population, that we have to respect everyone's human rights. But it's a very short time for training. We're here with our eyes closed, and we're just opening them now. We'll have to see what happens.
In a written statement to Al Jazeera, the Mexican Foreign Ministry said the government's been working on how to update the National Guard members' existing human rights training and on how to implement the UN agreement. But it's not just the UN training that this force is missing. The rolling out of the National Guard has definitely been a bit ad hoc. Most of those we've seen here don't even have their new uniforms. They're still wearing their armed forces gear. And some of the country's federal police officers who were due to be drafted into the new force instead went on strike against what they worried would be cuts to their salary and benefits. And every corner that's cut is only going to bring more questions about the government's great hope to tame Mexico's security problems. John Holman, Al Jazeera, Tapachula.